Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Media Crash Podcast. This is our first ever episode. I am Holden, otherwise known as The Time to Grind. This is Daniel.
Hi, I don't have a YouTube channel.
And this is Matthew.
Hi, I do have a YouTube channel. But it's not a YouTube channel.
It's not what he always says it will. He keeps saying he's going to make a Kids Bop channel or a Matthew Bop channel, but he refuses to. So on this podcast, we are going to be talking about a different genre or topic or theme, just kind of in pop culture in general. So this first episode is focused on the horror genre. So we're going to just be talking about video games, movies, just kind of our experiences with horror as a genre in general, and we're just gonna see what happens. So yeah, so I personally am not a huge fan of horror movies or just the horror genre in general. I'm kind of warming up, but I've never really been a fan.
Wow, Time to Grind Gaming. I sure do agree. But actually, in all seriousness, yeah, I completely agree. Horror can just kind of, if you're not scared by it, it just becomes like a human misery simulator. I mean, there's some good horror out there, like The Thing.
The Thing's good.
There was this one with like Samuel L. Jackson. It was like Room 14 something or other, where this guy's like trapped in a hotel room that's like evil and it's bringing him through hell or something. But there's no actual like jump scares or people getting stabbed to death, or I don't remember that anyways. So it plays a lot more into what makes horror good, I think, which is that kind of adrenaline feeling where you're really invested in the characters. You know, like generic summer camp with people I all hate. I'm not really invested in that. I don't really care if they get stabbed. I'm gonna feel bad because like these are just living, breathing human people. Apparently, they're on screen. Of course, it's not real. That we're just seeing get horribly murdered.
There's not too much. Yeah, I know you are probably the most into horror, at least movies.
Well,
as the three of us,
as 1/3 of the podcast, I feel like I should at least somewhat tolerate horror movies, which I do. My first experience with horror was the 1990 movie Child's Play 2.
Oh,
I never watched the first one. I looked it up, but the first one was directed by a guy named Tom Holland, which I was like. No, it's not that Tom Holland. He was probably. I don't even think he was probably alive then, but it was 1998.
He was probably like a 2-year-old or something.
1988. So he was probably
probably a sperm cell.
Yeah, probably. How old is Tom Holland? I don't know. But so yeah, I watched the second one, which is not directed by Tom Holland. It was a different guy, something Lafia, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, something about dolls that would always get to me as a kid.
What? How old were you when you watched that?
I think the first one I was like 7.
7? That's
7 or 8.
Are those R or PG-13?
Those are R.
Those are R. Oh, dang.
No, Matthew. My first introduction to horror, I think, actually was, with you, Matthew. You may not consider this horror, but 8-year-old me did. 8-Legged Freaks. Do you remember that?
Oh, the
spiders still mess with me, dude.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite horror movies as a kid. Was just
it wasn't even horror. It was just
it was
really creepy if you don't like spiders.
It was a PG-13 sci-fi channel movie about spiders taking over a town, and the only reason I didn't even like it was scary because it honestly really wasn't that scary to me anyway. But the part that was fun is towards the end, all the spiders just say fuck it. And just start taking over the town. They just start invading, and so everyone just goes to the local mall, and they just it's a siege. And so you have waves of spiders, and they all grab random mall items and hunting gear, and
the spiders grab that.
No. Humans do.
Oh, because I'm just imagining a bunch of spiders just start grabbing things.
They're about as smart as spiders.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So. But there'd be there'd be little spiders, and then you would have the tank, which is this the tarantula coming through. It was super big, and then I think the villain was the Black Widow, and she would she was the one capturing all the people. That's the thing. Most people didn't even really die in that movie because
really
they wouldn't get eaten. They would just get spun up in a web,
and then they're.
I just assumed that they got killed immediately.
Well, no, people that die because you would see the nest. They would go, and it would
because I was gonna say maybe they're spinning people up to then eat them later.
Yeah, no, the people probably still die.
That's what spiders do. They spin. this is also why they're one of nature's most terrifying animals. They spin their prey up and then inject that little ball of silk with their prey inside with it's some kind of stomach acid, and it just dissolves them while they're still alive,
jeez.
or alive, I guess. And then they drink it like a smoothie. It's absolutely
That
terrifying.
sounds tasty. My first experience with horror actually was with you as well. It was this movie called Killer Clowns in Outer Space, and I think most people consider it so bad, you know, that it's funny and it's kind of not really a horror movie. But like, I don't know, maybe we were like 10 or 11, and that gave me a little bit of scariness. But I think it was just so absurd that it wasn't that scary.
That movie is probably the definition of campy.
Yeah.
That's probably my confession is it's probably my favorite type of horror movie is those 80s and 90s generic monster, like, killing people you don't care about, and that's fine because they're terrible people. Like, 90% of horror movie cast, just the total amount, are just the worst people.
Yeah.
Like, I think in Friday the 13th, it's just like camp counselors banging instead of like taking care of like the kids.
So just neglecting.
And that's why Jason died. He was part of the camp and drowned because the camp counselors were literally too busy like fucking each other to like provide support.
I didn't know that. That actually makes me like that. I haven't seen those movies, but that makes me enjoy him a little bit more because he's at least like, you killed me by neglecting me, so I'm gonna murder. Did he only murder the counselors, or did he murder the kids as well?
You probably murdered it. There's like 13
How long
movies.
the movie series has been going on? Like he's gone away.
He goes to
past
New York,
counselor.
so at some point, so he probably isn't the most moral.
Doesn't he fight the Predator at some point?
No, he fights Freddy Krueger. There was a crossover with that.
Doesn't one of them fight the Predator?
So is there like
Alien.
just a whole like Marvel universe and then like a whole horror universe? Is this just all connected?
No, see, before cinematic universes, you would have something just called a crossover, which is just one movie where they have to explain how they're somehow in the same universe, and they are. Like Alien vs. Predator. There was Alien movies, which the Alien movies were all like set in the future with like space marines and shit, but the Predator movies were always in modern times, or not even modern times at this point, like the 80s and 90s, well, modern for them. But so you wouldn't really think they'd be in the same universe, but they decided to
just do it once or something.
Yeah.
And nowadays everything has to try to be a whole universe and copy Marvel's thing.
Speaking of horror,
They need the money. Give them the money.
speaking of that, there is in the making a Dark Universe Cinematic Universe. That's what it is. So it's called DUCU. So it'd be Dooku.
Dooku?
Yeah, that's what people call it.
Oh,
Dooku.
like Count. Oh.
Well, I don't think it's
I
reference.
don't think they're going.
I know, but like it. I mean, it maybe a little
It
bit
makes the
fits.
sound, yeah.
It makes the sound.
But
I think it's a horrible name personally, but
I don't know if this is even really considered horror anymore, but what I love about the Dooku is they keep trying to do it. Like, did either of you see what's it called? Dracula Rising or whatever? It was like the origin
That
story of
sounds
Dracula.
great.
It's literally like his origin story, and they try to make that was supposed to be a start of the whole thing because at the end of it, you have the actor Charles Dance for Tywin Lannister.
Oh.
He's in it, and he's like the guy that made Dracula a vampire. And at the very end, it's Dracula in modern times, and you see Charles Dance walking behind him, going, "Let the games begin." No sequels.
Did it bomb? I'm assuming
yeah.
the movie bombed.
it's a movie made by DC, so yeah, it's not going to do well.
I can't speak for box office, but it critically didn't do well.
Dang. I mean, I'm assuming that means it didn't
And then
do well.
recently there was the new Mummy movie was also supposed to be the start of it with Tom Cruise.
That was supposed to be in the
They released this image of like the cast of the Dooku, and they had Tom Cruise as the mummy guy, I guess.
The mummy guy.
Johnny Depp is supposed to be the Invisible Man. Who's the guy that Javier Bardem is the Wolfman? But then we haven't seen any of these movies.
Any of those?
Invisible Man came out
The
recently.
only thing I remember about what do you call it? That new Mummy movie was that god awful trailer they started with, where like half the audio was cut out. There was just random screaming. Watching it was so surreal because
Yeah, they forgot the
How do you forget? How do you pass that through? You're like, oh damn, we forgot the audio. We've already paid YouTube. Let's just send the ad through anyways.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Holden, in the first Mummy trailer, there was a scene where the main character is like flying through like a plane as it's crashing. And I guess the editors, they forgot to put in just everything else besides his voice, so you just hear him go, and then nothing else.
I actually think I know what you're talking about. That, man, my girlfriend Caitlin, she's like super into horror movies, like obsessed with them, especially zombie movies. So she tries to get me to watch them all the time. And I think the favorite one that she has made me watch is actually the first Resident Evil movie. Because like
they made movies of that?
Yeah, and I think they've made multiple, and supposedly from what I know is the later ones are just like stereotypical zombie movies, at least from what I've heard. But the first one, it's about the whole like Umbrella Corporation, like there's an outbreak and the underground company building knows that there's a outbreak, so the AI controlling the whole building pretty much tries to lock everybody in. And it's like a horror movie, but it's not like against zombies or against little demon girls or something. It's like against this corporation building that's like just not trying to let you through or like let people out. And so because I think that's when I can enjoy horror movies, is when like the premise is so interesting or so good. Like I'm starting to warm up on them, like Hereditary. Hereditary is really good.
That's just a quality movie.
Yeah. Like the sister. Wait, can I talk about stuff that happens in that movie?
Yeah.
Is it
spoiler for
like the first 20 minutes of Hereditary? It's so sad when she gets her head knocked off.
Oh yeah, it's just like it starts off and then.
I know you saw it, Daniel.
No, I've only seen that scene, and then I got very sad and decided to stop watching.
Yeah, but what do you say?
No, Hereditary is just like a good movie, and not just a good horror. And I feel like that's the best kind of horror movie, to be fair.
Are good horror movies.
I agree. The best kind of movies are good movies.
Horror movies that like are like have a statement and like good directing rather than just
being a campy small budget.
Although
budget doesn't really matter, but campy.
As much as I love those movies,
some of them are pretty trash. So I remember just. Because I am only now starting to warm up to horror movies because, Matthew this entire time, the whole time I've known him, growing up as kids, Daniel was with me. When we were growing up, we were like, no, screw horror movies. But Matthew's always trying to get us into it. And so I'm slowly warming up and stuff. But I remember one of the biggest reasons that I didn't like horror at all was because when I was like 7 or 8, I saw this trailer for a movie, and I think it was something to do with like demon girls in a mirror or something, but it was pretty much like the trailer was, this woman's, just took a shower or whatever, and she's looking at the mirror, brushing her hair, and she sees like this little demon thing or whatever behind her, and she looks behind her, and it's not there, and then she looks in the mirror, and it's there, and it's like closer to her, and so like that scarred me for about like 6 years, honestly. Like every time I was in the bathroom or like whatever and I saw the mirror, I had to like put my back to the wall. So like the mirror was to my left and like the rest of the bathroom was to the right for like 6 years, just because like...
I think Child's Play did the same thing with me, just any kind of toy in general that was somewhat alive. Like I could probably handle most like stuffed animals and stuff, but like anything human looking.
Yeah.
And especially if it like was automated and could speak and respond, I'd be like...
Have you seen the inside of a Tickle Me Elmo?
No.
It's terrifying. It looks like a little skeleton with like plastic arms, these big beady eyes.
Is it like T-1000 kind of scary?
Yes.
T-100.
I think you'd find that terrifying if I showed that to like 10-year-old Matthew.
Because
this is a bit tangential, but like the thing that got me like horror-wise when I was really young. Do y'all remember the show? It was like top 10 most extreme animals on Animal Planet.
I do.
Yes. There was this whole episode on parasites about like these little worms that would like go up, water or go up your piss stream or whatever. I think that second one's a myth. But it was just about these things that burrow into your skin and slowly kill you from the inside. And for some reason, when I watched that, I thought, oh, wow, I guess every water source must have that. So I started, like, whenever I would take a shower or something, I would always completely leave it before opening the little, like, water release thing. Because I thought, oh, they're going to swim up from the sewer and, like, fucking kill me slowly. Like, I thought that was the scariest thing. It's also probably the reason I don't like spiders. Animal Planet Animal Planet is spooky.
That's a good topic. Holden, what do you think is like a good example of something that still like fucked with you, but like wasn't meant to be horror, but it's still like it was somewhat scary and still got to you?
Like in terms of like movies or video games.
Yeah.
Or something? I'm trying to think. I can't. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Is there anything for you?
The first thing that comes to my head is the Fallout games. When I was younger, like I was really young when I got into them, and so. When you're young, to be fair, there's a lot of things in Fallout games that can fuck with you. Like, just like half the monsters are just mutated monstrosities.
Yeah.
Just looking at them makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, the ghouls in the earlier Fallout games were like terrifying to me. The way that the AI worked is when they saw you, they would point at you, scream, and then just sprint.
Oh, that would terrify me.
No, that was... They wouldn't point at you. That was, Daniel, did you ever play Mothership Zeta or whatever?
Mothership Zeta? Oh, that's the one with the aliens,
Yeah.
like for the Fallout 3 DLC.
Yeah, there's a DLC where you go into, like, not only do you see aliens, like a spaceship, it abducts you and you have to fight them.
Oh, jeez.
And at one point they just started experimenting and turning humans into alien mutant things. And those were the ones that would just, like, look at you, point, and while running at you, pointing at you. And I was just like, just the act... Just the base instinct of the AI not only recognizing that you're there, but pointing, and it just makes you like be like, don't single me out, even though I'm the only one in the room.
I think the only thing in like video games that like is not supposed to scare you, but scared me because I'm stupid, is swimming in 3D games. And I know you guys know
Yeah.
but I don't know why. But like I remember it first started off with like there was this Incredibles game on the PlayStation 2, I want to say. And there's a part, like, you know, when they are trying to rescue him and they crash into the ocean. And then there's, like, I don't know why, but swimming in 3D games. And then I was trying to play, like, Dear Esther, like one of those walking simulators, because I love walking simulators, honestly. But there was a part where you have to, like, swim in the water. And I was like, I don't know why.
That's a phobia I don't experience very much. Like, I'm fine swimming. But, like, I could totally see the fear behind that. Like, I can totally understand, like, thalassophobia and things like that, where it's just, like, the deep water that just keeps going down.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand, like, fear of drowning, but I can't really understand, like, fear of swimming itself.
Yeah.
Well, explain it. What is it?
Well, I mean, like,
scary?
it's not really like swimming in real life. Like, I mean, yeah, if you threw me out in the middle of the ocean by myself, I'd probably be scared shitless.
I mean,
but
I think anyone would be scared
but-
shitless if you threw in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, but like I don't think I'm scared of like water or, you know, swimming in real life. I think it's just like it has something to do with like almost like because it also I kind of get a similar fear when I go like out of bounds in video games, like when you glitch.
Oh,
in,
like I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's like this weird feeling of like when we were doing Modern Warfare 2, I think it was, or 3 was Spec Ops.
It was 2 Spec Ops.
2 Spec Ops, and that one.
I know this glitch that I've kept with me by memory for like 7 years now, which is
most important knowledge.
the ghillie suit mission in Spec Ops, which is a great mission by the way. There's a little glitch you can do where you can like jump on some cars and you can just out of the map.
And you can go pretty far. Like,
Yeah,
you don't like fall.
What I realized with Spec Ops is the reason they got so many cool maps is they literally just stole maps from both the single player of Modern Warfare 2 and 1. Mm-hmm. And so you could just explore like parts of the Modern Warfare 1 level in Modern Warfare 2.
That's
Because
pretty cool.
they just ported over like the world.
Yeah, so like I remember getting scared of that. So speaking of kind of like video games and stuff like that, like have you guys played? Because I don't play horror video games at all. Because not only do I not like horror movies, I hate horror games. So like, do you guys have any experience with any of that?
If you give me a second to think, Matthew, say something.
I'm trying to think. I never really play. I don't play many horror games because it's less of fear and more just stress. Because most those games not only have something that's scaring you, it's also literally trying to kill you. And like you're trying to open a key while it's chasing after you. I can't do the stress of that.
Yeah, I think the only horror. Oh, you got yours?
Yes.
Yes. Tell me.
The most recent horror game. It's the jankiest ass game, but I love it. It's called DayZ, and I know you don't think it's horror, but it's one of those things when you're really invested in your character and you can die at any second, you're constantly in fight or flight mode. Cause like everyone, and I mean everyone in that game wants to kill you. The zombies want to kill you, the shitty game design wants to kill you, the broken hunger, the players, everything wants to kill you in that game. And if you don't want to die, you got a lot of bases to watch. So every field you cross, you're like checking for glints of people in the tree line, or you're checking for zombies before you enter a house. And it can get so intense when it's like dark in your room and it's dark outside in the game and there's no sound, and all of a sudden there's a gunshot and your heart starts racing and you're not sure if someone's shooting at you or shooting at someone else. That can only happen if you're invested in the game, though, and most people are not very invested in the game because it's not a very good game.
True fear from gaming doesn't have to necessarily be scary. It could just be the stress of the fear of losing something.
When your mom ends your game early. Oh, God.
You're trying to finish a mission before your parents get home and you're not supposed to be playing
it's an online game. I can't pause it.
Or like you spend like 7 hours equipping this character and like it could die in 1 second. And so when you hear like 3 guys come into the house, you're probably like, oh no.
I think one of my favorite types of like horror in games that I've only experienced a little bit is like psychological horror. So like this is like, I think one of the few horror games, if you even want to go as far to call it that, is like Doki Doki Literature Club. Because it, you know, if you don't know, it's like this game that's trying to pretend like it's a visual novel and like it's this stereotypical dating visual novel. And then as you play it, like the characters start getting like weirdly, creepily obsessed with you, and they start
like most visual novels.
But then they start like cutting themselves and like committing suicide, and then it's doing things like where the game is spoiler alert, but the game's like getting taken over by one of the characters, and you have to like go in the game files to like delete her character like from the game files to like progress further, and like. I remember hearing things. I didn't play it, but I can't remember what game it was. But one of the games on like the back in like the N64 GameCube days, where like it was like messing with you by pretending like it was turning the volume like down on your TV, or like it was pretending like your save data got erased. Like I think that stuff's hilarious.
Video games have the unique way of fucking with you horror-wise by just like taking away things that were used to be there, or like just changing the norm of the visuals around you while you're still in it.
Yeah, because they can make you feel comfortable and then be just like, nope, you're not comfortable anymore, not allowed.
Wasn't that what, like, one of the cores of horror is? Just that discomfort, thinking, or, going back to, like, your fear of being, I guess, out of bounds. It's not normal. It shouldn't be that way. Why is it this way?
Hereditary was interesting because I was only truly, like, spooked / scared for, like, 5 to 7 minutes of that movie. The rest was just the definition of uncomfortable. Like,
oh yeah,
I was like the whole time. I'm like, oh no, oh no, and it like a door would open and you'd be like, nope, yeah.
We're kind of running a little bit low on time, but the last thing I want to talk about, just because I can't remember if you were there, but we were watching the that one horror movie where it was It Follows. The It Follows movie, where it's like there's like this demon and it's like an STD.
I remember, coming after you'll watch that, and I'm happy about that because I don't think I would enjoy that. We
had to watch it in 2 different sittings because like we totally like were being little bitches because it was so scary.
Even Caitlin.
Yeah, no, actually, Caitlin was one of the 2.
I'm surprised because in my opinion, like I was considering that a thriller, but now that I go back on it, I could kind of. To be fair, I wasn't spoiled like a good chunk of that movie.
Yeah.
So, like, going into it, I kind of knew what was going on.
But it's pretty much like this movie where there's like an STD demon, pretty much, and if you have sex with someone, you pass it to them, and the demon will start trying to kill them. But the thing is the demon walks. It only walks. So say you just get in your car and drive 20 hours to a new state, it might take the demon a couple weeks to get to you, but it will eventually get to you. And like, if you sleep with someone and pass it on to them, if the demon ends up killing them, it's coming back to you. So you technically can't ever be safe. And I think that's what, it's just this constant, like that would be horrible. I would probably just kill myself, honestly.
That's another great example of just a good movie, because it not only like gives you just straight up fear, like, oh no, this person's about to die, but like it probably like hits some specific people hard that might have experienced like certain things of like sexual abuse and like
other things like that in it.
And because there's just the fear of it never really going away, no matter what you do about it, it'll always just be there. Can hit on so many different levels.
Yeah. That's pretty scary. So, do you guys have any closing thoughts you want to, talk about the horror genre before we cut this episode short?
I find it funny that out of the 3 of us, only like one of us has like.
Hey, let's do the first episode as a horror theme thing. Yeah, we both.
Yeah, we hate horror movies, but let's do it. But I mean, I think it's fun to talk about, just how much we hate horror movies and get scarred by them.
It's also
and stuff like that.
It is nice to have the topic of talking about fear and horror and things, not just horror
just related
movies.
to it.
I mean, I can see why it as a genre exists, but I don't care for it personally.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, at least for me, been an acquired taste, and I'm like starting to like certain types of horror. But yeah, so this is the Media Crash podcast. So every episode we will be talking, like I said, about a different, theme or genre or something like that. So this was horror. So stay tuned for the future episodes. We're going to try to do these weekly, and see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.